Module 1 in the course is called Freeing the Magic Wand. And so my first question is, when you say magic wand, because we're talking about the physics of success here, when you say magic wand, what specifically are you referring to? Because you have that theme throughout the entire course. Can you share a little bit about what you mean when you say magic wand?
Absolutely. You know, if there's nothing in front of me right now, and then I do something and I create something in front of me, most people say, well, you must have a magic wand. I can do that and something appears. And that sounds like magic, okay? Well, it is magic, but that's also quantum physics. Because one of the main principles we'll get into in quantum physics is, and it's mind-blowing, is that nothing exists until you pay attention to it. So we're going to get into things like quantum entanglement and the wave duality effect, the observer effect, as we call it. And it's a scientific fact that there's nothing there until you pay attention to it, and that's magic. Now, knowing it is one thing, understanding it is another, and then using that knowledge is where the power comes from. And that's what I talk about, freeing the magic wand. The magic wand is your mind, but most people's minds are trapped in what they've been taught to believe the world is, and we're going to free all that. And it's very powerful and exciting, and so much fun. I mean, all of this is not designed to be taken like a serious class in a schoolroom or anything like that. You know, magic is beautiful and fun, so we're going to have fun with it.
So what about somebody who just heard that and you're like, magic? I don't know if I want to get into that. What is that about? And they might be a little bit afraid to step into that kind of, because I think you explained it really well when you say free your magic wand. It's really, your magic wand is your mind and your ability to control the outcome of what's happening around you and in your world and the success that you want to achieve. But there may be some people who are like, physics of success, quantum physics, that just sounds a little too magical for me. How would you respond to somebody who's a little apprehensive about this magical stuff you're talking about, thinking, I don't know if I want to get into that. That sounds a little scary or a little uncomfortable. I don't know. How would you respond to that?
It's just the word magic. It's the same as quantum physics. People jump out the window with that, and if I say magic, a different person jumps out of the window with that, but they're the same thing. I mean, if I take a blank piece of paper and then I take some paintbrushes and I make a beautiful picture, is that not magic? I have created something from nothing, and that's what magic is. If I'm hungry and I take a bowl and I put in some eggs and some butter and some sugar and I mix it up and then I put the flour in, then I put it in the oven, and all I do is switch the oven up while the oven should be on, and I bake this beautiful cake. Isn't that magic? And we all accept that, but we don't call it magic. I think it's magical. But so what if I give you a recipe that allows you to do exactly the same thing, put some ingredients together, put some attitudes and behaviors together, and you can create your life of dreams? Isn't that magical? That's what it is. There's nothing.
So simply put, it's really the recipe for creating the success that you want, because of course it's called physics of success, but really it's just the magic of being able to create what you want with your life, and through the principles that you're teaching in this course, your ability to create that more repeatedly as you go along in your life. So it's really that simple, right? It's just creating what you want, which, of course, for a lot of us is magical because, hey, look, it just happened and it's exactly what I wanted, which a lot of 3 Simple Steps users have experienced. So it's really just a creation of what you want in your life.
It is, but from a scientific basis. I mean, you can't bake a cake without using science. I mean, that's a physical chemical process. With a known result if you do it the right way. If you use the right ingredients in the right order, with the right amount of mixing, the right amount of heat, you know what's going to come at the end of it. It's very scientific. It's very precise. And it's the same with having a life of dreams. I'm a practical businessman. I'm not a magician or a self-help guru or anything like that. I've just built companies, but I've done it following this recipe and formula. And I've been able to grasp the recipe and formula perhaps better than some people do because I've had that understanding of quantum physics from a very young age, and I know how complicated it all sounds, but I also know how to demystify the whole thing. And once everybody understands, it's like the Wizard of Oz, you know, when you pull back the curtain and you find that the big frightening monster turns out to be just a little guy with a big microphone. It's the same thing. Once you peel back all of this drama about quantum physics, it opens up just an incredible opportunity in life for everybody. It turns your mind into a magic wand.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I look forward to in the course too, Trevor, is that having read 3 Simple Steps, and it was a really simple application of a lot of things that I have learned over the years, just a very simple way to look at things to change what's happening in your life. And it sounds like the continuation of this through the physics of success will be more of a simplification of what we know of quantum physics. So let me go back to the freeing the magic wand. So in that phase of the course where you're talking about freeing the magic wand, how do you see that particular phase of the course helping people who want to create success in business and in life? What are one or two examples of what you've heard from readers? Because I know you interact with hundreds of readers throughout the time that Three Simple Steps has been on the market. What have you heard from readers where you see freeing the magic wand, that first phase that you're going to take participants through? How do you see that? What do you see that helping with, given what you know from Three Simple Steps readers?
Well, I reading between the lines of a lot of the emails I get, people definitely have the potential to think that Three Simple Steps is more sort of a feel-good ideology, and that it works for some people and not for other people, and that this guy was lucky and this girl was unlucky, and maybe I'm one of the unlucky ones. And maybe it only works just a little bit for me because, you know, nobody's turned up my front door yet with a check for $1 million, and that's what I want. But I've been reading on the forums and the blogs that, you know, other people have had miracles turn up, and I haven't had one yet. So they start to think, well, maybe it's not for me and it's for other people. And I think what we'll get out of the physics of success, a scientific understanding. Then we can have 100 people in the class, and 50 of them could be physicists, and 50 of them could never have ever read a single word about physics in their life before. And the very next day, they're all equally powerful because it's science. And once you understand the fundamentals of it, then you become as knowledgeable, as powerful as a physicist. And so that's what we're going to get to. So you suddenly realize that, hey, you know what? It works. Science doesn't work just for some people and not for other people. It doesn't work for people who have a good attitude and doesn't work for people who don't have a good attitude. Science is science, and that's what we're going to get into. So it's really, you know, I think that'll open everybody's eyes to say, well, you know, I'm no different than anybody else. And even the guy that's teaching has the same hang-ups and challenges as I do attending the class. And he also is subject to the same laws of energy and the same laws of physics as I am. So we're all equal, and we all have the same potential. And you can start the very next morning. You don't have to wait 25 years to suddenly become capable of creating a life of dreams. You can start the very next day. Well, actually, you can start after the course, but, you know, it can happen that quickly for you. But I think that's really important that people get that sense of, well, you know, it's for me as well as everybody else, because a lot of us have lived our lives listening to what other people tell us we should think about ourselves. And so you have this, a lot of people have this mentality that they're not good enough or not worthy enough, and that life hasn't turned out the way they dreamed, so they must be doing something wrong. It must be their fault, or they don't have the skill. Well, after going through the physics of success, everyone will understand that everybody is equal. We all have equal skill, equal potential, and equal power. And it's just a case of understanding it and then, you know, flipping the switch.
That's a good point, Trevor, because I would imagine that some of our viewers here today and people who are interested in participating in the course as well have had that experience where, especially since now we're sharing a lot of stories from people who have used Three Simple Steps with great success, there may be viewers watching those stories going, well, how come that hasn't happened for me? I mean, I've been using it, and how come this hasn't happened? How come that hasn't happened? I think I've been doing it the right way. Have I been doing it the right way? And there may be a lot of doubt around either how to implement the Three Simple Steps to make it work consistently for themselves, or some level of doubt that maybe there's something else that I am personally missing that's causing it to not work for me. So it sounds like you're going to be filling in some of those gaps as well and demystifying the process so people can equally experience what they certainly can experience in terms of the level of success they want to step into their lives. So I see phase one, that whole freeing the magic wand piece, as allowing people to fully embrace that they too are as capable as anyone else to create any level of success that they desire. So it sounds like that really is the freedom of that first phase that you're helping us with.
Well, you know, and knowledge is power, and the truth will set you free. And those, you know, those two phrases are absolutely what everyone will get out of Module 1. So we're going to spend Module 1 has probably got more of the science in it than the other two modules because it's the foundation. We have to. So Module 1 will go through some aspects of quantum physics that's relevant to creating whatever you want in your life, and then we'll dip back into some of those aspects when we go through Module 2 and 3. But you know, the only challenge I've got is to get all of this stuff into about 2 hours. I'm still scratching my head how to do that, but it's coming together very well, and it's going to be. I I know is going to be mind blowing to everybody.
Yeah. Since you mentioned that piece about the module one freeing the magic wand being a key piece in the quantum physics area, how would you respond to someone who's going, oh, quantum physics? It's kind of like that person who wants to jump out the window when you say quantum physics. It's like, oh God, that's mind blowing. I remember the first time I was introduced to quantum physics, I thought it was so mind blowing. It gave me a headache. I was like, oh gosh, that's so much to understand. And there may be some people going, oh, so module one is all that physics stuff and all that, you know, deeper quantum physics stuff, and they may be a little scared of it or worried that it may be way above their heads. Could you speak to that person who has either been introduced to quantum physics and found it quite not overwhelming but complicated, and what you're going to do differently with your application of quantum physics in this course that would make it simple? I do trust that it will be simple because I've seen you take difficult concepts and make them very, very simple already. But for the person who may not have already experienced that, could you speak to what you're going to do differently in the course that makes quantum physics quite a simple process to digest, or a simple concept to digest?
Well, you know, if I just sit here and talk about it, I'd bore everybody to death. So what we're going to do is I'm going to prove that men can multitask. So I hope, fingers crossed. And we're going to have it's going to be multimedia. So we're going to have some video and some animation and cartoons and all that sort of stuff. So we can see it, hear it, feel it, and that's how you get knowledge. So, and that's going to really help because you can take very complicated stuff and show a picture, and it comes down to immediate understanding. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of work on it. I mean, I've spent hours and hours and hours putting this together so that you'll be able in 2 hours just to get it like that. And that's what I want, because that's what I've done with 3 Simple Steps too. Here's a map to success in business and life, but you can read the book in 2 hours. Well, the physics of success, because we're going for deeper knowledge, is an 8-hour course. You know, if I was to put that in a book, it would be a volume or several volumes, and it's just overwhelming. So we're going to break it down into nice little bites of video and sound and talking and discussion backwards and forwards. And at the end of it, people will, you know, it's like anything else. When you discover something and you hadn't realized before, you get that aha moment and you smack yourself and say, well, why did I think it was complicated? It really isn't. That's what it will get out of it. So no prior knowledge or understanding or training or teaching in quantum physics is necessary to attend this course. But after this course, you'll feel so confident that you'll want to go and teach it to everybody else.
Yeah, and it sounds like what you've done is grabbed different components of how to describe things. You talked about video and pictures, and so it's very experiential. It's not just you lecturing. It's you inviting each participant into an experience in different ways to keep the course interesting and also digestible, it sounds like.
Right, and it's a journey. So we'll go through it, and at the end of it, there'll be a recommendation for how to practically apply what it is we've just learned, and that's the key thing. That's what you don't get when you perhaps sometimes watch a TV program about quantum physics, or you see something online, or you read a book. You know, a lot of scientists have great difficulty in taking this incredible understanding that they have and making it applicable, making it practical. They don't even know how to do it themselves, and that's what I did with 3 Simple Steps, because I'm not a fan of self-help and positive thinking, as you know, but because of so much of that information leaves you hanging. It's like, well, what do I do now? Okay, I get what you're trying to tell me, but how do I apply it to my life? And so 3 Simple Steps, I wrote that because I felt there was a need for a practical guide. Well, this physics of success, this is also a practical guide, but the deeper understanding of how the world around us is interacting with, how we're interacting with the world around us, and how you can, I don't want to use the word manipulate because it sounds sinister, but how you can manage that so that you can change the world around you is just fantastic. I do it every second, every hour of every day. I don't always do it well, but I do. I still have fun doing it. And I think at the end of this course, you know, it will be freeing the magic wand, and that's I can't think of a better way of describing it, to be honest.